All you have to do is wait. There's no need to be so bloody busy. I'll be with you in a minute. God. We finished the last series of the English nursery garden year in the winter. So I suppose it's only fitting we start the next bugger in the winter. Welcome to Plantsmans Diaries. Might not be to everybody's taste. It certainly won't be PC. Now that the beds are all clear, we can start refilling them, and Thomas is working on shrubs, aren't you?
Yeah, it's all going to start to take shape now, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is what I mean by cleanliness. When they're nice clean beds and they're put back in, everything looks so professional. And yeah, there's some really interesting things, and we just have to work our way through them. I know we've wandered this road very many times in videos, but it is just something nice to see. Look at those. Now those are all contorted hazels. That's a really nice plant as well. A bit of soft fruit up here. These beds here will be for overflow beds for perennials. We have quite a few thousand of them coming in from David Howard's, which we have to pot up. A lot of them are bare rooted straight out the field. So these were where we used to have trees. We've condensed up the trees somewhat now because we had such a busy year last year with selling them. So we've got 3 or 4 beds that are just about empty. The Christmas trees, you can see, have taken on a different size now. They're so much bigger. They're around the 6-foot size now. I'm probably going to sell those at half price later in the year. 6-foot Christmas tree at half price, that'd be about 25 quid, I would think. A great big root ball, last 2 years. Great for planting outside because you need bung lights on it every year. These are some of the rarer trees, the fastigiate betula, or the fastigiate, not betula, fastigiate carpinus betulafolia, the hornbeam, and some of the oaks and various rarer things. Split leaf oaks, really nice. Maiden fruit trees, starting to go. Some maiden ornamentals as well. This year we lined out a load of box. We had a load of box over the way. So these box plants, we could shape them up, especially these big ones. But these big ones here, this is not the dwarf fruticosa. It's just a straight buxus. Oh God, what is it? Sempervirens. And it's fantastic. Now, the reason I haven't shaped them into circles or anything like that, or globes or pyramids, is because like this, you can put them into whatever shape you want. if you wanted to grow a peacock or a pheasant or a monkey or any sort of shape, they're ideal for training. Absolutely perfect. You can get the RHS book on training, pruning and training, and he'll show you how to do it. Here we have quite a lot of, if you remember, we did a lot of nibs last year. You know, we nibble things off of the roots, and yeah, these will very soon all have to go down to be potted. There are some wonderful aqualegias here. Now we'll just pop them into a 1 litre pot, and they'll flower this year. Really interesting. They're a lovely plant. Sometimes called columbine or granny's bonnets. This is a little geranium, Pyrenaicum. It's named after my old partner, Gordon. We call it Gordon strain. We'll keep an eye on those. It's a lovely little small flowered geranium, and it was found in his mother's garden over at Walton. And we keep that going, not for nostalgia, but because of it's just such a lovely thing. So there's lots of lovely young nibs there that need work on. Here are some cuttings of osteospermum. If you remember, we did those in a roll, a log roll. Up there are ferns, so we no need to go up there. Have a look up there. What have we got here? It's just the shadows are so strong at the moment. So we come down the wall. Little Veronicas. You can see these here. These will get potted into 1 litre pots soon. As long as I have some staff that can help us do it. This is, they didn't do too well to start with, but and in their initial stages they're a bit pathetic, but it's actually a little viola called Tony Venison, and when it's grown in for a year or so, it's a beautiful little mat of foliage, very pretty in flower. There we have some nice phlox. And then we come back down to the grafts from last year. Conifer grafts. Many of them need weeding. They just need work on. Holly grafts. Chestnut leaf, Camellia folia. Had some rabbit damage on these bastards, and a few liners left over that didn't really these liners are just shrubs. Like there's some Euonymus elatus, Philadelphus berberis. They just didn't quite make the grade. They didn't make enough growth to warrant potting up. Next stage up of conifers, 2 and 3 litre ones. They are mostly grafts there, some of the rarer ones. Beautiful little trees, wonderful little things, especially in this light. You can see the blues and the over there, and the greens and the golds. And some of these colours haven't quite turned yet. Look at that gold spreader there. Lovely plant. Some larger conifers, all the very large conifers that we have. There's very few of them left. As I've said before, last year we could have sold a broomstick if it had got roots on. They're bloody pheasants again. There was 9 in here this morning eating the bird food, which is hardly surprising considering we have birds. So there's a lot of material there to deal with. You can see here we've got another stage of conifers. More conifers. These are all these are all ready for sale. It'll be good when lockdown ends, and then people won't feel so guilty about sneaking out here. And there's a tunnel full of stuff there. Pittosporums. There's a few there that have been hit, I think. Yeah. Formiums. I think I'm going to have to come in here and water, to be honest. Oh my God, delphiniums. They're going to need water. Water everywhere. These are all these delphinium crown buds from last year. Between weeding and watering. Loads and loads of them. Sweet peas. Yeah, they're looking okay. Ones at the back have been hit a bit. That to me looks like some water problem, so I'm going to have to this morning look at those fatsias over there. They're looking rather good. They're just young cuttings. Yeah, I'm going to have to water in here. There's a few bits there that have popped their whack. Yeah, Lavatera. There's some Hebes there that are dead. Yes, feeling the weight of some of this stuff in here. It's quite light, so I'll yeah, water. That's what we need. I've just got back on Sunday night. A rather pleasant day, but it was made more pleasant by Richard Fleming called by. Richard calls by quite a lot because he likes being at Eggleston, and I'd like to thank him for my favourite beer. The brewery closed down some years back, but they seem to have redone the beer. It's a thing called Castle Eden. And for me, it was the best beer of all. I will have to give my father-in-law one though, because he liked it, and he'll be able to tell us if it's the same as the old one. Well, I will be able to because I like it. But if it's similar, that'd be all right. Thank you, Richard. There's an old maple hidden away in this border. Straightforward viridis. You can see, standing back, it's just so much dead in it. Now, it's just like a bird's nest. I can get in there and pull this out by handfuls, just without even getting a pair of secateurs. So, what we're going to do is have a little clean up of that maybe clean up the area around it. You can see it's a mess. I'm not doing it tonight because it's quite late and it's getting dark, but we'll have a little go at that tomorrow, I think, and see what we can't do. This here, next to it, many years ago, was an old crab apple that I had. It's actually a variety called red jade, and it blew over and split, and I just bound it together and then pruned it in such a way as it's in layers. It actually has become quite effective, so I'm probably going to leave that. That's the pig house behind, and I'm going to open that up at some stage, but it wants all clearing out. There's so much in this garden to do. Now this year, because I'm finishing off at Eggleston, we won't get a lot of time, but what I do get, we'll have a little go through. The important thing is to try and clear it and get some space with which to work. Get our plants put to one side that we want to grow. There's so many different things we can use. There, that's that job done. You know, a couple of people wrote to me and said, you know, you're being deliberately smutty or contentious by going on about picking up the turds. Well, I really am not. If you have dogs, they will crap. And you need to pick it up. You don't want some, especially in your own garden, but especially outside. You don't want other people picking them up for you. Or I know people say, a child could step in that. Well, yeah, so could anybody. I know it's useful to say a child because it adds an extra sort of emotive sentiment. But anybody could stand in it, and as it's your dog, you pick it up. I remember years ago, the late Barbara Woodhouse. She was being interviewed on television, and she was going on about picking up dog mess, because in those days, the 70s, 80s, people just used to leave it all around the streets. Anyway, she was on, I think she was being interviewed by Wogan or somebody, and she showed people how to do it with a freezer bag. She put her hand in a freezer bag, picked up the turd, pulled the freezer bag inside out, tied a knot in it. Well, you'd think she'd committed some sort of serious crime. It was in all the press the next day, and people were laughing about it, people moaning about it. Now, it's good manners, and it's accepted. But still, people don't do it. Now, I've noticed also around here in this village, there's a few of the posh knobs. They don't do it. They just let their dog shit anywhere. But then a lot of them have a sense of entitlement, so perhaps they extend that to their dogs. Anyway, before we start shredding, just having a look down the bottom at the summer house. I'm going to have to, until I have a shed or a potting shed built over the other side of that pond. Brambles everywhere. Over the other side of that pond there. I'm going to have to use the summer house to store bits and pieces. We haven't used this summer house in the 20 odd years it's been put up. I don't think we've used it more than twice. There's little bits and pieces in there. Bloody noise. So you can see some of the chairs still have the plastic cover on. Running a business like Eggleston has been so hard, you just don't get a chance to do these things. Anyway, these are some spikes I'm going to use for posts. These are quite simple. You just drive the spike into the ground and then put your fence post or arbor post, in my case, and just knock it in. I think the trick is to keep them level, upright. Yeah, it's covered in cobwebs here, but as I say, nothing's ever been done. The woodwork all needs painting. It's the doors are sticky, but up here. Hello, Finn. Are you feeling better? You just threw up on the stairs. Seems fine now. Probably too much grub. Fatty Finn. Yeah, so you can see the roof needs some work on it. We can't do anything until this tree is taken down, at least cut back. So really that's quite an important job. We need to crack on with that. Lots of aconites down here. I've actually got quite a few pots of them ready for planting out when it's finished. So we've got a couple of hours at it today, Tuesday, and then we've got hopefully a day tomorrow if the weather holds off. I think what I need to do is sort that tree out so we can get on a dry spell, get the roof refelted and repaired, and then start working on this up here. It's just a lot of cutting up to do at the moment. And of course we've got to do your daily check before you start work. You can see all of this grapevine. Well, it's an ornamental vine. It's all over through there. You can see, look up there in my neighbour's apple tree. Tons of it. It's coming out at the base. But again, at least it's not prickly like that bloody Kiftsgate rose. There's an old spade there. I bet that's been there 20 years. Shredded it up fine. You could put that on your garden or on your paths or something. Yeah, doing a good job. Well, it's the end of the day. It's been quite a good session. I've managed to get some stuff really cut back and some stuff sort of shredded up. There's a euonymus elatus here which I've cut back. All that arbour will be going soon. We need to start with a fresh look. The maple that I pulled out, well, jazzed up a little bit, is looking good. It looks nice with this red jade behind it. When these come into leaf, they'll look really nice because one sort of flows into the other. You can see how they're both quite weeping, so I'm quite pleased with that. We need to see some leaf on them first to see the full effect, but I think that's going to be quite nice. We need to keep this border clean over the summer. The shreddings, I keep calling them strimmings, they're just put on this path. I'm not going to get round to this path this year. That's going to have to wait until I've retired. But you can see they're quite useful. I put a deep layer on, really deep layer, and it's all there's a lot of ivy leaf in it. You can see where I run out of ivy. It actually makes quite good shreddings. See. So we'll come round and do this. These are the old paths. I'm going to redo them and put steps in because it's such a steep rise up to the house from down the bottom of the garden. But yeah, this year, and this is the thing, if you move into a new house, it's always best to leave it a year to see what you've got. But this year, it's all about keeping it clean. There is so much stinging nettle and so much buttercup that I need to get rid of that. And there's some frameworks of things I want to put in. We're putting a big apple arbour here. The wind is getting up. We're due some gales. Once this is cleared out, you can see how this surface is going to look with going up with the Chamaecyparis foliifera below it. It's completely by accident, but it is very, very effective. The rose that we cut back a couple of weeks ago, I don't expect to see anything coming out yet, but I need to put a pergola or something along here. I'll probably wait until it breaks, but because there's no hurry in case the bugger dies. I don't want to put a pergola up here and then it's dead. Next week we'll, or the week after, whenever I can get on it, we'll get onto that archway. That's just some logs from where we've trimmed. We'll get onto this archway and start cleaning that off. You can see it's right up. The vine is right up through that tree and right up through my neighbour's tree. I'll have to go around and see him and say, you know, can I come round and dig it out for you? Or pull it out. Yeah, it's nice to see a bit of life, but it's only going to look worse before it gets better. Well, it's freezing cold outside, but inside it's bone dry in places. Just doing some watering, looking at some very interesting things. This time of the year you can walk into a garden centre and there are all sorts of lush, perfect looking plants and very, very tempting. But a lot of them have been grown under heat in optimum conditions, not positions. Well, it might have been positions as well, who knows. And that's perfect, but here we grow things hard. Well, as hard as we can. Nothing has any heat. The most they get is a bit of open tunnel protection. None of our tunnels are closed. We don't close them at night. They're open-ended. Really, it's more to stop waterlogging, which is why I'm here now, adding some water. But it's the beginning of March. I think it's about the 5th today, something like that. So we're just giving them a bit of a drink. You can see that the plants are very wet because the water is just laying on the top, because it's not breaking the surface tension that's caused from the dry soil, the dry compost. When it does, I'll go back and just give them another quick wang with it, because that's what permeates down into the roots. Now I know that there's a frost tonight, so I don't really want to soak them too much, but I'll just give them a careful little drink. If anything, it'll probably be we'll take a look at them again in another week. I'll go back here. You can see where I've been. Some are still wet and some the water's got into. It's only really experience that gives you a feel for how much you need to put on them. This time of year there's no hard and fast rule. You just go by instinct. Like a lot of things, really. And we're in Longshanks here. There's lots of things here. Some things have had a bit of a nibble back with the hard frosts. We'll just cut those off, and that's photinias. Maples look to be okay. Yeah, looks like everything's going to need some action on it quite soon. Not sure this year with so many people away or on short time how we're going to do all this. I hadn't realised how much work there was. It's only when you wander around I make these videos and you think, well, let's have a wander around today and see what's going on. There's some space in here, but some of the hostas are just starting into growth. But we don't need to worry about them for a bit. Just to be clear how we deal with the shrubs, what isn't sold last year is brought down late winter and put under here. It doesn't have to be late winter, it could be earlier, but when we want to empty the beds, and they're put under this beech tree. They're just stacked in their varieties, willy-nilly, if you like. We try and keep them tidy, but they're all brought down. And then after the shrub beds have been cleaned, like you've seen, we barrow them up, take them round to the potting shed. See, they're just wedged in here. There's all sorts of viburnums here. There's some beauties. Weigelas. There's some the Weigela mauricii, the plicatums. Now, they don't look much here, but we will clean them up, repot them, or just take some of the old soil off and replenish them, feed them, and then they go back out. Now, these pyrocanthus that I'm dealing with at the moment, you can't really top dress those because they might go dry in that size pot. Most garden centres would keep them in these 3 or 5 litre pots, but they have them on flood irrigation. The minute you take them off of flood irrigation or drippers, if you have them in your back garden, they can just lose their leaves and suffer. So what we tend to do is put them into large 10 litre pots. The price goes up accordingly, but you get a much better plant. I'm dealing with these this morning before I go watering in the tunnels, which is an irritating job because you're not doing anything with any plants other than keeping them alive. I know you have to do that. Outside it'd be all right, but this time of the year, but at the moment it's going to take me 3 or 4 hours when I could be doing this, especially as we're short staffed. But that's the nature of the business. Anyway, I have to get these sorted out, but they are yeah, we have to deal with them. You don't have these problems, do you, Pepper? All you have to do is wander around and look cute and shake yourself and sit down. What goes on in your head? Does anything go in there? And why have you got no friends? Pep, why have you got no friends? Is it because all you care about is the gun and rabbits and rats? Last week's primulas are now finished. As I think I made clear last week, they will flower in about 4 weeks, or they will look totally different, less scalped in about 4 weeks. They've had their first week now, and all things considered, with a bit of good weather, they will look lovely. Some of the earlier ones I've done are already starting to benefit. Can you see this? You see how the blooms are starting to pick up above the foliage. Now, when these open fully, they're going to look fantastic, and they won't be hidden or buried beneath the leaves. They'll stand proud, erect almost. Anything I say now would be beneath me. And these were some denticulatas that were done also. They weren't scalped back, but they were fed and cleaned up and then put somewhere into a fresh bed. Pulmonarias as well, we needed to work on those. So there's so much, we have so much to do. There's some bare ground here so that we can work on the perennials. The reason I'm doing this video this week is just really to show you that how the work builds up and what it takes. Why you need so many people or so many hands on deck at this time of the year. As with the shrubs, you can see down here, the glass houses were full of them last week and the girls worked through a lot at the weekend, but you can see they're piled up. These are the perennials. Two blackbirds just from between my legs. They take liberties. These perennials, they're piled up. One of the problems, we run out of space. There's too many perennials for the space around the potting shed, so we tend to double them up or treble bank them up. But if we're not careful, what happens is they get this. You see where that pot has been on there? It's just died out underneath. So what we have to do is really get anything that's double banked and breaking into growth, get them off and get them worked on, or at least get some space so that we can spread them out again. But it's just a fact of life. The girls this weekend will be working on these. As with the shrubs, it's all brought down. The shrubs are put under the beech tree, or the perennials are stripped out the beds. And then of course, Lisa's just finishing off these ones, which she'll finish off after the weekend with pressure washing. And then they're repotted, cleaned up, fed, and put back into nice, fresh, new beds. The fly in the ointment is not next week, but the week after. We have thousands of perennials coming in. As I was showing you earlier with the spare beds, they'll have to go up on there with just a selection put straight into these sales beds. I had people in last weekend and they were saying, oh, you haven't got much around, have you? We're not a garden centre, we're a nursery, and we have to repot and develop stuff. We can't just buy it in off of a lorry and put it straight out. It's not how we do things. That's one of the reasons why nurseries like this are such a dying breed. They are just, you know, it is hard work. It is a lot of moving around. You're forever moving around plants. And anybody that wants to run a nursery, it is cleanliness, moving around stuff from, you take it from A to B and then from B to C and then you take it from C back to A. There is no other way to do it. And within that, you've got to take into account where you're putting it, the aspect. Is it going somewhere where the plant is going to suffer, somewhere exposed or too shady? If you double bank them, like I've said, are the plants going to start into growth and suffer? It's really, really, really important to get your routine and your procedures right. Once you've got that, it's second nature, but it's very, very important. This is all finished off now, so this can all be used up. It's all been pressure washed and cleaned. It's such a lovely thing. It's like having a blank sheet of paper and your plants are your scribbles. You just develop them and put them back on, and then hope to God somebody buys them. Here's something we haven't looked at for a year. A festoon. We've gone up a 2 or 3 more hoops on this. Now, we'll have another look at it when it's in bloom. It's a great way of dealing with out of shape apple trees. Yeah, it's alright. When it's covered in blossom or apple, it's quite good. It's very important to cut the stems back so that you get the spurs.
you want?
I want you to speak your truth. Yeah,
It's interconfessional.
oh, bloody hell. I've got to go to the quacks.
And I'm still on shrubs.
Shrubs.
But I'm almost finished them now at least. I'll just come back to these ones just because there's some nice little lilacs. This is a variety called Jose, and I've just done a variety on my barrel called Miss Kim. And it's just a lovely form of lilac. Doesn't have the massive thick heads of flowers, just gets these short little spikes of flowers, but they don't get as big as your normal lilacs do. You know, your normal lilacs can get 3-4 meters. This one keeps itself to about 1.5-ish. I want to say, I think I've got this one at 1.5-2 meters, Jose. But like quite a few of the dwarf lilacs, it can flower twice in the same year. So these, the flower early, and last year they flowered again later on in the season.
Miss Kim has the advantage of nice foliage colour in the autumn as well.
It's a lovely sort of rich purpley plum sort of colour as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Jose doesn't have that, but it does flower twice.
So what are you doing with these? These are in a 3 litre pot,
Yeah,
aren't
they're in 3 litre at the moment. Then I'm just getting rid of all the weed off the top. Then I'm just going to be putting them into some 5 litres. I'll get 5 litre from down.
What he was poking around at in there, here, you get like liverwort, and it gets right down into the crotch of the plant.
You don't want to, well, if you pronounce it liverwort, I would say you don't want a warty crotch, particularly. From either party involved.
Yeah, carry on. So we're putting them into a 5 litre.
This into a 5, just nothing. Just to give them a little bit of extra guts for the year.
They're nice little plants, aren't they?
Yeah, they're handsome. Ooh, little lilac.
The male workstation, smart, tidy. The female workstation, overflowing, bits everywhere.
It gets tidied up before I leave.
What is that?
That's when someone's from support there.
Epimediums. God, is it?
Yeah, no, they're good.
They're going to make cracking
Well,
plants,
we
then,
weren't
aren't they?
sure. They were in a 3, but it seemed a shame to split them when they were just about. These are going to be flowers.
Yeah.
So we're having a go and see what happens. But they should be good plants.
They will be. I mean, there's some cracking
They're
flowers on
brilliant
them.
things.
It's just that they're quite small for a 5 litre pot, aren't they? You know,
Ellen.
height-wise.
What does Ellen do?
They'll be alright.
Ellen is 45 centimetres apparently. So it's not.
That's 1.5 foot, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had James in 5 before and they've sold.
We've had what?
James.
Oh, GMs, yeah. Do you like GMs? You don't like GMs, do you, Elizabeth?
I think they're a bit common
Common.
and a bit too small to see.
Well, you don't want somebody anything common, do you?
Because the flowers droop, you can't see them unless you're crawling on the floor.
Yeah, but then it's the same for hellebores. Do you like hellebores, Liz? You
Some
no,
more upright than others though.
you like hellebores. Helen, who's on my side about can't see the point of hellebores.
The
Some
point
of them
of
are horrible.
hellebores is that they flower now.
Yeah.
If they flower in summer, they're really pointless.
It's like some of them fancy snowdrops you get. These these snowdrop collectors. They sort of like get orgasmic about a bloody snowdrop, but you've got to get down on your hands and knees to see the
Oh,
bugger.
yeah, magnifying glass to turn around and see
Yeah.
there's one called Grumpy with a sad face on it.
Yeah.
And then you pay blooming 20 quid for one call.
Some of them have like selfie sticks with a mirror on, and they go round having a look, putting it on the ground under the snowdrop to look up its skirt.
You see, you've said excuse me then. I didn't actually, there wasn't a
farty.
there wasn't a farty noise there. You might have to add one because now it just looks like you cocked your leg in a peculiar way.
Well, we won't carry on with that. See here, these are the little alpines that we did last year, and you can see how they're just quite. If you remember, we did them around August time. You can see here the little things. They're all They're all really doing well now. Some white ones and various things. I've done quite a lot. But here, I'm just doing some of these little androsace. I don't know how you actually say that. Do you know how you say androsace?
I think must be androsace, but I sometimes I call them androsaces, which is just completely wrong, I imagine. But I think it must be androsace.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're just knocking them out.
Look at the root on them.
And then we give them a whack. Right, you little bastard.
So once you've given them a whack, you need to give them a bit of a tug apart.
You just whack it off, and then you pull them off, and they pull apart like this.
Little gentle tug.
Little gentle tug, nothing too much. They are really quite well rooted. There we are. They're just coming apart.
Oh, is it gonna? Yeah, it's focused. Only grubby fingernail.
Do you know how to zoom in with that thing?
I do, yeah.
Right.
I tend to just Mr. Bean it.
So there we go. I'm just going to fill up the pot loosely, and then we're just going to get this. We're going to stick our finger down the hole.
That follows on from the tugging.
Yep. And there.
Reciprocate. Reciprocate.
And then that's all we're doing. And that's it. Little alpine. It's always, you see, now what I've done here is I've prepared some pots with the labels already on, but I've actually managed to put it into a pot that hasn't got a label on.
Out of all this stack here you have with the label on,
Yeah.
androsace salmon.
So what I'm going to do is turn it over like a mud pie. I'm going to look a complete wanker if this doesn't work, and then I'm just going to put one of them on. There you go.
Just like that. No one would have ever known you made a bit of a tit of yourself.
Anyway, once they're done, we just put them down this end for a couple of weeks. Put some water around them. And there you go. These were done last weekend, about 5 days ago. They're little armarias, little thrifts. And while they look small, there's that lovely little thrift, or what they call the bugger, I'll have to look.
Armeria?
Armeria
rubrifolia
compacta. Really tight balls. Tight ball of foliage.
There you go. Save yourself.
And yeah.
And this was something that was really stunning last year, wasn't it? This Antenaria, Rope's Wonder.
Yeah.
People look that up. That was beautiful.
Is it called pussy paws or something?
Is it? Well, you haven't put that on the write-up anyhow, so you've missed a trick there.
Oh, maybe I've got the wrong thing. Oh. Yeah.
God, I mean, look at the size of them. Look at the size of that plant. You're charging what, $3.95? Yeah, robbing bastard.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Nah, you'll have to go and show people what they look like in a. Because although the price for this now, these are really for next year.
No, you can't see much there, can you? That's that
Rowlia.
Rowlia. That is for crevices and things. It just spreads and forms like a silvery mat. It's really quite nice.
Really stays really low.
Yeah, it's
really
ground
creepy.
hugging. Silvery foliage, 2 centimetres by 30 centimetres. That 30 centimetres is an underestimate because it will spread around. Oh, they're just lovely, some of these things. I really like these alpines. That's it then.
You like your little fiddly jobs, don't you?
I do. They're a lot easier these days. I wish I could remember what that was called. Pussy something? Pussy?
Galore?
No.
No, that's from James Bond film, isn't it?
What's wonder? The purist will tell me you can't do alpines the way I do them. Well, I just am happy to differ. You've seen how we've been potting on last year's. The ones that were taken in July, August, the little cuttings. We've just been moving them up to square 7s. This is them 12 months on. And they are, frankly, just laden with bloom. I really like these little saxifrages. I just find them so pretty at this time of the year. And they actually have quite a long flowering period. I think later in the year we'll go over it again really slowly, how we do it. Look at those. Very, very happy with them. They bring so much pleasure to the garden this time of the year. In a little trough, or this is primarily what the hypertufa troughs are for. These little things, that's why some of them are quite shallow.
Poetry Corner today finds me sheltering in a polytunnel because it's pouring with rain, it's freezing, it's really cold. I mean, it's always lovely to be in the gardens, but today is pretty bleak. Malcolm has sent me a poem that he wrote when he was 18. Apparently he was in a lecture or a classroom at college, and his teacher was boring him, apparently. Well, except for the bits where his teacher pulled his false teeth out and put them back in again, and that seemed to have entertained Malcolm for a short while. But anyway, he drafted this poem, and I thought, well, this is interesting because, you know, this is Malcolm as a young lad, and you know, I know him now as a mature, well, I use that word advisedly, as an older man, and I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see, you know, the pathway of his humour and his thoughts and how he's kind of grown up. So I read it, and well, there's been no growing up, put it that way. It starts off all right. You know, when your kids are little and they come running in with something that they've made or drawn, and you say, whoa, that's so good, that's going straight on the fridge. Well, I think I'm safe to say that this one's not going within a country mile of anybody's fridge. I'll read it though, as I am wont to do, and I'll let you be the judge. Listen and hearken of old English gardens, lupins and lilac in May. Golden rain mountains of laburnum fountains silently weep through the day. Twisting and turning, wisteria's twirling her mauve curtain drapes eerily still. A thrush sings a sonnet to some old granny bonnets who nod to a clump of cranesbill. In blue-coloured fusion, scabious cushions tempt the chalk-hill butterfly. Delphiniums dream, while achillea seem to float as the clouds in the sky. In dampness, fern fronds, goldenrod wands, plumes of astilbe by ponds. Campanula bells, pixies wear well, of snapdragons children are fond. Sweet bunny rabbits and firemen's helmets, foxgloves bring peace to your hearts. Poppies for some, violets for mum, a garden is more than its parts. In a red, red rose your love may be found, poets of old they assure us. But gardeners know, through rain, sun, or snow, its sweet peas make her knickers fall down. Well, there you go, dear viewers. Make of that what you will.
I know you want a scratch. You're filthy. Look at you. You got hangers. I hate to think what that hanger is. Look at it. Oh God. Oh, like it's nasty. That's water down the plug hole. Gee, you're a dirty bugger. Look at the state. Was he been down a foxhole or something? You're an embarrassment.